Hey yo, welcome to our channel today. I am a 23-year-old woman, and I am concerned about my best friend of 10 years, a 23-year-old man, and his new girlfriend, who is 26. She has attempted to engage in intimate relations with me multiple times in the first weeks of their relationship. Would you date someone who tried over and over again to hook up with your best friend, even after you told them not to and established clear boundaries? This is the situation. I'm a girl, 23 years old, just not dating because I don't want to right now due to health issues. But I'm not worried. My history keeps me confident, just waiting for my health to get better. You can call me Amy. I'm bi, not a pharmacy student. My best friend is a 23-year-old dude of 10 years. His name is Lyle. We met in a freshman seminar when we were 14, so we are good homies. He's straight. Lyle and I are like the best of bros. We have a sibling dynamic, not flirty at all. Lyle just started pharmacy grad and met a girl. Her name, for the story's sake, is Sue. Sue is a 26-year-old pharmacy student who claims to be bi, but has only been with men and doesn't consider intimacy with girls real. Sue and Lyle had a F the beauty situation for a month or so. Amy was really happy for him, calling Sue Lyle's girly friend and telling people that she thinks Lyle is going to have his first relationship in college. Lyle hasn't ever really dated anyone. He had one GF in high school, and he doesn't remember it as ending well. Setting: Lyle and Amy pick up Sue to hang out at a bar in LA. There's no alcohol involved, just some weed and cigarettes. After Lyle and Sue were FWB for a bit, he introduced Sue and Amy. They got along, and Sue even aggressively flirted with Amy. Amy went along with it mostly just to make time pass the easiest. She honestly isn't attracted to Sue. Just isn't her type physically, mentally, emotionally, and she is only hanging out with her for Lyle. Amy was feeling sick and didn't want to be on Lyle and Sue's joyride. It was a last-minute thing when Sue had called Lyle out of boredom. Lyle asked if Amy wanted to hang out with her. Amy said yes for Lyle. She knows him, and it'll make him happy. Amy would also be very happy with a new friend to just run around with too. If things worked out, that'd be really nice. It's worth noting in private, Sue told Amy she could make Kyle do whatever she wants. Lyle even started smoking cigarettes for her. Sue also suggested to Amy they do coke together within the first few minutes of meeting. When Lyle goes inside at some point, Amy and Sue are left alone outside. There she starts telling Amy how she wants to kiss her. Amy says Sue would have to ask Lyle. She tells Sue why it would make her uncomfortable because Lyle is more of a family than even a friend, and that she could never do anything like that behind his back. She said all of that to Sue. Sue is really aggressive with flirting, commenting on Amy's appearance, what she wants to do to her. She even says Amy can be their side piece. This supremely grosses Amy out because she isn't attracted to Lyle or Sue. Both are especially not her type. Politely, Amy is even compelled to tell Sue how unattracted she is to her best friend to make clear it's not a reality Sue can manifest. Amy tries to dodge her advances but also still validate her, with the type of flirts Amy does with her friends. Amy wanted to appease the situation, then confide in Lyle after, honestly and privately. Lyle comes back out from the bathroom. Sue doesn't ask Lyle if she can kiss Amy. She just says she wants to kiss Amy in front of Lyle. Amy just repeated what Sue said to her back and said she wanted to kiss. Mostly for appeasement and to go along. It's just a kiss. Lyle stares and enjoys it a bit, even telling us he didn't mind us kissing, which made Amy really uncomfortable. She didn't want Lyle to watch, and she told Sue that when she first brought up kissing. When Lyle says he enjoyed Amy and Sue kissing, Amy jokes to Sue, "You should have made him pay to watch." And they all smoked a cigarette together and went inside. When the night is done, Lyle and Amy drop Sue off at home and drive home together. Amy doesn't have a car, and Lyle is her neighbor. Amy tries to talk to Lyle about why she was uncomfortable with the whole kissing interaction and asks Lyle what his boundaries are with Sue, and asks Lyle if he'd be okay with Sue kissing other people. Because anybody who cared about Lyle knew he wasn't okay with it. He says no. And he also says he isn't ok with Sue and Amy kissing, and that he will talk to Sue. Lyle is possessive. Then some time passes, maybe a week or so, and then Lyle's gala rolls around. Lyle wanted to take Sue to the dance, and they both agreed to going together. Then Sue asks Lyle if it's ok for her to go with someone else if she gets asked. This really bothered Lyle, and they both wound up having a fallout because Sue and Lyle both were defensive and didn't go to the dance together at all. Lyle wound up taking Amy as a friend. Lyle told Amy Sue and him had some distance the last few days. Setting: pharmacy dance, kinda lame. Just drunk nerds all trying to fuck each other in a micro-sized school. Lyle invites his friend Greg, and they Uber together from his place. Amy catches a ride from their hometown. At the gala, Lyle and Sue don't interact much except for when Amy shows up. Amy arrived late, like 3 hours. She lived over an hour and a half away and was really weak that day. After Lyle and Amy hang out for a little, Amy sees Sue, the only person she knows at the school, and sits down next to her to talk. All three of them hang for a bit and go outside to smoke a cigarette. Sue and Amy kiss in front of Lyle again while they smoke. Lyle got angry and whispered up into Amy's ear, "Don't ever do that again." Amy couldn't process Lyle was only mad at her for the kiss. Sue instigated it again after all, and Amy said, "Of course, for my best friend of 10 years. Lyle's eyes lit up, and he hugged Amy. That response made him happy. Time passes. Amy and Lyle go inside and dance together for a few minutes. Sue sits down at a table somewhere. Lyle disappears for a bit. Amy goes to sit with Sue because dancing was making her feel sick. Sue immediately starts making moves on Amy, grabbing her leg, talking about how hot Amy is, talking about how she wants to continue the kiss from the bar, and how it's all she's been thinking about. Sue says she's been waiting only for Amy all night. Amy isn't really used to such aggressive behavior, specifically from girls, and also assumes Lyle and Sue have talked. Amy is wondering if maybe Lyle is letting Sue see girls. Immediately, Amy's response was to ask Sue if Kyle would be okay with it. Sue said she didn't have to ask Kyle. Amy told Sue that Lyle had told her he didn't want them kissing or doing anything less than an hour ago. Amy also feels pressured to reciprocate because she's worried about making Sue feel insecure and doesn't want a lot of confrontation. Amy didn't touch Sue like Sue was touching her, but she called her pretty back and complimented the kiss from before and said things to make Sue feel validated. Sue and Amy walk outside together to smoke again. Out there, Sue got way more aggressive and tried touching Amy's privates over and over, rubbing her hand on her underwear, and was begging to have Amy sit on her face. Amy aggressively rejected Sue multiple times, which made Amy uncomfortable. She isn't good in these situations, saying she couldn't do that to her best friend and also didn't want to give Sue the satisfaction of being with her. Because again, Amy even told Sue how Lyle doesn't want this. Amy is by no means physically attracted to Sue, and Sue also never once asked Amy how she felt or what she wanted, and that made Amy feel uncomfortable. By the time Amy and Sue went inside, they realized their lipstick had been smudged all over from kissing. Amy's lipstick was kind of messed up, and Sue asked her why her lipstick was so much worse than Amy's. Guilty. Sue's face looked like a clown or a baby with makeup, with super red lipstick just all over her chubby cheeks, chin, nose, lips. Amy remembers looking at Sue with her messed up makeup and just thinking about how her face was a measurement of her omission of guilt. Amy and Sue fix their makeup in the bathroom. Amy awkwardly tries to bring up Lyle in convo and make small talk. She has no idea how she's going to tell Lyle all of this. Lyle calls Amy looking for her. He asks them where they were and what they were doing. They both just say, walking around, smoking, fixing their makeup in the bathroom. Dishonest. Sue tries to invite Lyle, Amy, and Greg to an after-party. Amy encourages Greg and Lyle to go, and says she might grab dinner somewhere. Kyle really doesn't want to party. Greg wants to. Amy encourages the both of them to party for her, because she physically couldn't that night. Lyle and Greg just want to stay in and be homebodies. As soon as they get in their lift to go home, Lyle starts sobbing on Amy's shoulder because the kiss made him cry hard. When they get home, Amy gets really cold and sick, and Lyle takes her home at 5 a.m. because she forgot her medicine. Amy tells Lyle everything that happened. He firmly makes up his mind he wants his distance from Sue because he doesn't want to just be friends and sleep with other people. Amy already knew he wanted this and told Lyle that she told Sue. But Sue didn't care and kept pushing herself onto Amy. Lyle said he didn't like that. Lyle resolves that Sue and him have to date, or they can't FUB anymore. Sue calls Amy after the gala about how Lyle wants to date. In this conversation, Sue never says she has feelings for Lyle, never calls him handsome, doesn't compliment him a lot. She confides she has a history of cheating and doesn't know if she wants a closed relationship. She talks about how her parents are very strict and traditional, who won't let her date anyone outside of her culture, so she can't let herself like him. And Sue also talks about her serial cheating history, and how she is bi, and that she just wants Amy and Kyle at the same time. Sue joked it's why people hate bisexuals. Amy joked in her head, it's why people hate cheaters, not bisexuals. Sue talks about how she's never been with a girl but wants to. Amy tries to make small talk by talking about her experiences with girls, and what she liked about them that was different from cis guys. Sue tried to relate by saying Lyle dresses nice, and has good hygiene and tries. Amy liked hearing that because none of her girlfriends ever complimented the way Kyle dressed. And so she went heavy on saying Sue should just stop playing around and ask Kyle out. Amy pressed that Sue liked Kyle, and she wouldn't be having this convo if she didn't. Because Amy also knew that was what Lyle wanted. She said she was going to talk to Lyle about getting permission to be with girls. She never did. Lyle had to bring it up. The pharmacy finals are after the gala, so Lyle and Sue stay at their campus to study for 2 weeks. Sue fails a class and Lyle barely passes. Sue has to stay on campus for winter break. Lyle goes back to his hometown. Sue and Lyle are dating now, and are officially monogamously boyfriend and girlfriend. The day Lyle goes back home, Sue starts texting Amy at like 7 a.m. offering to spend $150 in Ubers to get Amy to her dorm, so they can hook up and kick it. Amy was confused when she just woke up. Her texts were basically behavior from before in essence, except she was trying to instigate the hookup at her place when Lyle wasn't there. And she was ready to spend $150. Amy again validated her and declined. Amy immediately tells Kyle but asks to not be involved and to not have her name brought up because she doesn't think anything will come of it anyway. Because nothing changed the last 2 times. Lyle says, of course, what stays between us stays between us. After he reads the text messages, he wants screenshots and gets really upset. Amy doesn't want to be brought up. Lyle said he wouldn't bring her up. Why does he need screenshots? Lyle gets weirded out by Amy's reaction and starts getting defensive. What's wrong with you? Why aren't you on my side? Your reaction should have been to block that bitch. Amy is only on his side, but wants to be on in good terms with whoever he is dating. Even Lyle has said he wants them to be friends. But Amy isn't confident anything is going to change. Lyle talks to Sue and says he established clear boundaries and that she was confused on what was okay for her to do and not do. Even though Lyle has communicated what he wanted over and over, and he has the most basic view on a monogamous relationship, it couldn't be confusing. Sue claims to have been confused. The day after Lyle established his boundaries, Amy woke up again to the same message chain, except now she was getting nudes from Sue. Amy didn't send any back, even though she loves to take nudes. She just sent her a photo back of the painting she was working on and validated her a little bit, till Sue was ready to Uber Amy again. Then she asked if Lyle and Sue had talked yet. Sue admitted they talked and told Amy what Lyle wanted didn't matter because she still wants to be with girls and will do just that. Amy screenshot the photos Sue messages and Amy sent one last message. I'm sorry, Sue. It's an uncomfortable situation. I hope you two can figure it out. Then called Lyle. He got worked up again because Amy was uncomfortable getting caught up in the middle of it, just for it to turn out exactly the way it was before. Amy wanted to talk with Lyle in person because she knew it was a hard conversation and didn't want to get shushed or hung up on because he was going to have to be hearing the hard stuff, which is hard for anyone to sit and listen through. He was aggressive about picking sides. He told Amy, I don't know what the fuck is wrong with you, but you need to send me those screenshots right now, even though Amy was in the middle of sending them, and had told Lyle as soon as Sue had sent the nudes and texted her. He said he was going to talk to Sue. After they talked on the phone, he called Amy. He told Amy Sue said she was confused on the boundaries and didn't think it applied to the internet. Sue got defensive and said that Lyle needed to figure out what he wanted. Basically an ultimatum. Even though it seems like Lyle was abundantly clear in what he wanted, it would have been clear to anybody. Amy thinks that was a cheap cop-out because Sue only got caught with the best friend internet stuff. Of course, she'd address it. But Amy told Lyle Sue said I could have Ubered over, which meant she was okay with hooking up. So it wasn't just internet stuff. And Amy also brought up how Sue said in her message that she knew Lyle didn't like them talking. Lyle said, "Oh, I need to call her back." He called her, then called Amy and said he was going to drive over to spend the night still. And depending on the vibes, he'd meet the parents. Amy asked why he was spending the night just to talk when he has an apartment nearby. He says they've been dating for 2 weeks. Obviously, if they sleep together, they aren't going to split up, and his decision with the parents would ultimately be affected by the fact they had slept together hours before. He spent the night and sent Amy a photo of a baklava they were baking for Mom and Dad at 3 a.m. They didn't talk. He told Amy, "Sue is too high. We'll talk in a few days." He met her parents, enjoyed himself, and had a good time. How could he not wonder if Sue's parents would want their daughter to date someone she has already cheated on 4 times? With that young man's friend, Amy. The dad had actually already met Amy once before. What would they have thought if they knew the reality of the situation? And what had happened hours before? Would they have enjoyed eating together, with the reality of what was actually going on? Did Lyle value what the parents would think? He seemed like he would have. What did he value? Would Lyle want his own daughter to pursue that relationship? What would Lyle's parents think if Lyle was honest about what actually happened? Would Lyle ever be honest with anybody about what actually happened? Would he ever tell his friends? When Amy asked Lyle if she could talk to her friends about what happened, he raised his voice and angrily said, "No." And Amy meekly said back, "You're going to have to be. It's the situation you're getting yourself into." He said, "That's fair." Amy is concerned because Lyle was lucky to have his best friend do right by him and tell him about the time Sue was dishonest. He already had 5 opportunities where his best friend ousted behavior he considered cheating. Now he won't know if she pursued or is pursuing other people. Lyle won't be able to have his best friend tell him. If he never talks to Sue and just continues as though nothing happened, was his only response to push away his best friend so Sue wouldn't communicate with her, even though Amy wasn't the reason the situation ever began, and is the only reason it ended. That seemed like a luxury not a lot of people have early on in relationships. Would you date this person who tried over and over again to hook up with your best friend, even after you told them no? I can't help but wonder if she had been caught with a guy kissing. And if it wasn't a girl best friend, would it have been different? Did everything Amy do have no impact because Lyle dismisses her because of their friendship? And isn't there no reason for Lyle to assume this behavior started and ended with Amy? Isn't it obviously probably happening with other people? And not just the instances she was caught. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to our story. Your support means the world to us. If you enjoyed what you heard, don't forget to hit the like button, share with your friends, and subscribe for more captivating content. Your engagement fuels our passion, and we're grateful to have you on this journey with us. Stay tuned for more exciting stories and adventures.